I can say or can say that will ease your heartbreak. But on behalf of the city and myself and my family, please know we are sorry for your loss. This event was planned by an out-of-town promoter, and most of the people who attended were from out of town. There were some Conway people there, but the majority of folks who attended were from out of town, and had this gone through the normal processes of the city, this event would not have taken place. The event does not reflect our city, our values, and rest assured we are making sure that this type of incident does not happen in our city again. Our community is safe. You can feel safe. My wife and I take our grandchildren to one different park in the city of Conway every week, and we will continue to do that. I would like to commend the men and women of the Conway Police, Conway Fire, Pafford Ambulance for their tremendous response, as well as the other law enforcement agencies that responded. And I would like to take my hat off to Carol Cruz, our prosecuting attorney, and our staff. Ms. Cruz was there till well past 3 in the morning working with local law enforcement. So Ms. Cruz, thank you. For those of you who are responsible for this, I can tell you that this morning and every day since, that Ms. Cruz, the Conway Police Department, local, federal, and state authorities have been meeting around the clock, and they're in a meeting right now. So I promise you the heat is on you, and they are coming for you, and you will pay for this. At this time, I will turn the microphone over to Police Chief Chris Harris. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. We'll give you some updates, but while I don't have a lot of updates, obviously this investigation is a day old. So there are things that I'd like to explain and get out. But first, I'd like to take the opportunity, as Mayor Castleberry echoed, and the agencies that were involved that night. When I showed up on scene, it was truly amazing on how many people from all around, the different agencies and community people that showed up in support. So I'd like to thank the Arkansas State Police, the Faulkner County Sheriff's Office, Faulkner County OEM, the Conway Fire Department, Pafford Medical Services, the United States Marshal Service, Eastern District, Arkansas Division of Emergency Management, Red Cross, Conway Corporation, M2 Equipment and Rentals, and especially Conway Regional Medical Center and Baptist Medical Center, right? Oftentimes the nurses in the hospitals get put in the back, but they helped us out tremendously and helped a lot of the victims out. On Sunday evening at approximately 7:45 p.m., officers responded to reports of shots fired at 5th Avenue Park here in our city. Upon arrival, officers were met with a chaotic scene and multiple individuals suffering from gunshot wounds. A total of 11 individuals sustained gunshot wounds, and tragically, 2 were pronounced deceased at the scene. Tatiana Penister, age 24, from England, Arkansas, and Demetrius Feimster II, age 23, out of Little Rock. Of the 9 surviving victims who sustained gunshot wounds, 1 remains in serious condition, and as the latest update that I received, is recovering in ICU following surgery. The remaining 8 victims suffered non-life-threatening injuries. As the mayor said, our hearts are with the families of those who lost their lives, as well as the victims impacted by this tragic event. We extend our deepest condolences and support them during this incredible, difficult time. We have confirmed that multiple individuals discharged firearms during this incident. So with that, we're confident at least 6 different weapons, probably more. They involved ranging from handguns to automatic rifles, and it's estimated that over 100 rounds were fired at 5th Avenue Park. So there's like I said, it's still ongoing, it's still evolving. We're following everything, but I wanted to provide some context that's going around. First and foremost, this event was not sanctioned by UCA at all. Okay, they had nothing, they didn't know anything about it. This promoter used their brand. I'm not a scholar in the law. I'm not even sure if that's legal. But they did not have any part in this. Nor was a permit issued by the city of Conway through the process that we have. In many cases like this, not often, but I've been doing this for a long time and dealing with parties, former years at UCA and in all my years here at Conway. The majority of them follow the right process, the processes that we have. This one did not. Certain promoters advertise through flyers about parties. And oftentimes what happens is somebody that wants to go to this party will send through Cash App or other things money, and then you will get the address of the party the day of, or a few hours before sometimes. So these gatherings occur at undisclosed locations, and they have occurred since I've been in law enforcement for the last 26 years around Central Arkansas. We did not find out about this till late Sunday evening, as far as the party at 5th Avenue Park, right? We knew there was parties Saturday at night because I had received a phone call. And I don't know the exact time frame, but I know one was shut down Saturday night. There was an event at one of the local event centers around there, and it got out of hand and spilled over into 5th Avenue and Airport Park, and we shut that down. I will say, we do not allow parties like this in Conway. I have been in patrol for my whole career just about. I've been involved in shutting down hundreds of parties. Unfortunately, I understand members of the community have questions, especially about Sunday, on how this was allowed to happen. And I've explained that we did not find out till Sunday afternoon. The why it continued to happen, and why it was not shut down, I understand that there's questions. And I have questions about that, okay? So my office is actively reviewing those concerns. And all aspects of the situation are currently under investigation. And once the process is complete and necessary and appropriate actions will be taken. And I'll stand before you today and tell you that I will let you know what those actions are. Because I'll be the first to say I'm new to this job, but I'm not new to law enforcement. And I understand the members of the community, when they think law enforcement has done something wrong, allegedly, or if they did, they want answers and they want to know the outcome of those things. So hold me to that. I'll tell you in front of the media and everybody else. We'll look into it. And if we did something wrong, I'll be the first to say it. And with that, if anybody has any questions.
Amir Mahmood with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette here. So some of the residents around the park said that police were patrolling prior to the shooting. Were police near the 5th Avenue Park before the shooting took place?
So with that, yeah, that's one of the where I'm going to investigate. So I'm not going to get into a lot of that, but I would say yes. So it depends on one of the things I have to do. And like I said, this was a day old, and as y'all can imagine, I was in all kinds of meetings yesterday. But today is when I start, and tomorrow even more, I will look at all the calls for service. I do know that there were a few calls out there before the shooting. So I do going to look and see what calls we were, how many calls, what calls were in the city. At the end of the day, we're responsible for answering emergency calls through the whole city as well. So that's part of the investigation.
Can you tell me, I know that you said police were in that area, what is the proper procedure for that? If you find out, okay, that they were in that area, they heard calls and maybe they didn't react possibly soon enough?
So, I'm sorry, what was your question? What was the procedure for what now, if they were in?
If they were in that area, are they suspended? What happens?
Well, it just depends on what the investigation, what's the outcome of the investigation. I mean, in our disciplinary process, we have all the way up from, we find that you did at no fault all the way up to termination. So it just depends through that investigation. So if there were calls, that we have to find out what calls they were, what actions were taken by the officers. And so that right now is what I'm trying to figure out.
Do you know how many persons of interest or suspects that you have at this time?
So I will say this, we have had, as you can imagine, with the people out there, the video out there that's online, we have had all kinds of leads. And I wanted to go back and say this actually, that we have all kinds of leads. But as you can imagine, we have different suspect descriptions, different names, different everything. So I don't give anything concrete because in my line of work for all these years, sometimes it doesn't turn out. But know this, the U.S. Marshals of the Eastern District out of the Rock, they've been on this since they were there that night that I showed up, and they were there all night. Matter of fact, they were meeting, so they're still following up on all leads and everything, and I have the utmost confidence that they will find who's ever involved.
If they didn't have a permit to throw the party, why wasn't it shut down whenever the police had answered calls down there prior to the shooting?
So, well, the thing is, so the permit process works through the city, and they send emails when we have a permit. So we didn't have any information of a permit. You have 500 or 600 people out there. You're going to ask each person who has a permit, right? It's not. You have to prove one, which obviously it was a party. But if a family of 50 wants to go out there and it's not a party, they're just having a family gathering, it's a public park. And I know that probably doesn't answer your question, but we couldn't go to 500 people and say, if not, I'm just guessing, estimate how much they were, and say, did you get a permit with the city? Did you get a permit with the city? Did you get a permit with the city? If that's the case, my officers would be doing that all the time. There's no set number. If you're going to have a party, if you can say, I want to have a party of 30 people and use the pavilion, you have to get a permit. But if you want to have 70 people out there and not use the pavilion, and it's not a party, then you're free to use the park. So, I'll take one more. You want more?
How you all doing? First and foremost, I give my sympathy and condolence to the family and the ones that was lost and the ones that was wounded. I lived in Conway almost all my life. And I understand we all have questions for the police department. But I want to say this. The police department, as well as the people of Conway, this was dropped in our lap. They had no knowledge of what's going on. They patrolled, but I'm gonna be honest with you all. There were so many people out there. Man, it would have took a plan of action. That is not something you could have just rushed in and start trying to make people leave and this and that. It's too many weapons, it's too many people. Conway Police Department did all they could when it happened. But this was something a lot of people in Conway didn't know what was going on. We didn't know it was a party being thrown at Fifth Avenue Park. This was all out-of-towners. And when it erupted, yes, our police department came through like they're supposed to come through with the assisting law enforcement that assisted them, and they did their job. I mean, I'm not knocking you all for asking questions, but don't beat up the police department for something that they had no knowledge of, that was a situation that took planning. It's not a situation you could just rush in to a traffic violation. So y'all allow them to do their job and be patient.
Thank you. That's it. And I'm just going to follow up with one thing, and then that's it. These parties are going to continue to happen. Not necessarily Conway, not necessarily Little Rock, North Little Rock, Jacksonville, Pine Bluff, until the promoters of these parties who do it illegally and backdoor are held liable. I don't know if that's criminal. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a prosecutor, or civil. But until that, because I promise you, here is this. I know my officers, men and women, were out there, as well as Pastor Maltbia, consoling the families. That promoter wasn't. When we had the two deceased people, young people there, we're the ones standing around, waiting, doing the investigation. The promoters weren't there. So it's time that somebody's held liable for this. Thank you.
Sir, who's leading this investigation, and when can we expect an update?
I have one of my supervisors lead it, and when it's complete,
Conway Police Department?
yes,
And when can we expect an
as
update?
soon as it's complete, I will share what we find. Yes, ma'am.
We won't get any sort of update before then.
Not during an investigation, no, ma'am.
Well,
Can you tell us how many 911 calls you had prior to the shooting? How many 911 calls were had?
All right, guys, I'm Matthew Boyd, the Public Information Officer for Conway Police Department. As he said, that's going to be all that we have at this time. We thank y'all for coming.
If the people still have questions,
They don't want to hear from me.
if the people still have questions, why do we have to be silent? We are the
They don't want to
community.
hear from me. I don't get it.
We are the community, so what can we do as a community
I called
to help?
911 12 times
And your
before
voice
this
is
party, the
silent.
day before.
This conference was held for the people, and as you see,